Okay, before I get into the video, I just want to say a disclaimer that I do not condone the use of drugs. This is just my experience. Take what you will from it, and here we go. So I finally was able to do my heroic dose. I was finally able to set a date, set a time, set a setting, and just relax. No obligations. And so let me calm down before I get into the video, because I know I had to take a breath and take a moment of silence, because I know how hard it's going to be just trying to just like recollect all of what happened into like a short few minutes. So let me have a hit of my green tobacco. Before I get started, it always helps. Keeps it calm, serene. And this one. Okay. So the day was Tuesday. It was a Tuesday, which was not very far away. It was pretty much a week ago. I decided to do my heroic dose of 5 grams of psychedelic psilocybin mushrooms. So I was definitely skeptical. I definitely was kind of like, you know, I've done like the 3.5 and I've done 4 grams, but I've never hit the heroic dose. I never was fully able to break through. So this time, like just preparing and thinking about everything that I wanted to do, I kind of just wanted to just give myself time. And I knew that the right time would come, like just making the decision to just go, here and now, you're gonna sit, you're gonna take it, you're gonna experience everything that you need to experience within this 4 to 6 hours, or 4 to 8 hours, and just do it. And so I have from my harvest the Hawaiian strain. It was just imagine how huge and thick these stalks are, and I don't know if you could see, probably shouldn't have hit it, but these things are so profound, so profound. But anyway, I proceeded to take them, a jar full of these, put it on a scale, 5 grams, lemon juice, meditation. I had Under the Tuscan Sun going with Diane Lane, because it's just a feel-good movie. Just something to keep me light and airy and out of my head, and just not so introspective. Just that way when I'm thrown into it, it's just a surrendering to the experience. So I had the lemon, I had everything set. It was 11 o'clock in the morning, and I just did it on the whim. I decided Monday night, I said tomorrow morning I should just do my 5G trip and just relax the whole entire day. And that was my plan from the get-go. And so I didn't call anybody, I didn't text anybody. I just kind of kept the night to myself, and the next day I was ready. I took it 11. The movie was playing, and so I remember just chewing it up. I remember even looking at it and just thinking, holy shit, I'm just gonna be thrown into the deep end. It's not gonna be anything comforting. It's gonna be scary, it's gonna be loopy, it's gonna be geometric, it's gonna be all these crazy shit. And I decided to do it. Like just sitting down, I'm like, okay, you feel the onset of anxiety, and it's like, oh my God, this shit's about to hit. And you can feel, it's amazing how your body can tell you, like, before something happens. And I'm very intuitive, so I kind of trust my intuition. It was just like, ooh, this is gonna be profound. It was October 13th, this Tuesday. And I'm like, something about that day, something about October 13th and something about 13 period, it just made me kind of like, okay. People say lucky 13, and people think 13 is an unlucky number. But I don't know, something about this day felt very spiritual to me, the morning. And so I'm going into it, I'm feeling these all kinds of conflicting things. It's amazing how, you can talk yourself down from all of that anxiety that's just like pounding on, because it just increases and increases. Next thing you know, everything is turned up, everything is bright gleaming. I had my windows open, which I thought was a pretty good idea, because I'm like, oh, no darkness can get in, it would just be nothing but light. And then on the onset, it was just becoming so much light. Like everything was flashing, everything was definitely getting to a heightened state. And so I'm like, okay, I decided to relax. I could barely feel my body at this point. It's like within 30 minutes or 40 minutes into the journey, that's when I got, you know, the loose legs. No position I felt was comfortable. I kept rolling around the bed. I had the bed perfectly laid out. And then all of a sudden, it was just like it was like similar to my other video where I talked about like the sunflowers, and it was like dollops of love and sunflowers hitting my vision, and all of a sudden just like beautiful visuals. And it's so weird, like it's like, you know, I'm peaking, this is gonna be great, because at that time I'm just like, okay, all my anxiety ceases to exist. I'm, you know, dissolving. Everything around me is dissolving. I remember everything became like little tiny, it's like turning off the television and there's like the little bitty dots. It's like everything was like raining down like little bitty dots, and everything was like melting and like disintegrating, and it was just like one of these things. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going crazy. Everything is disappearing from me. And at one point I really freaked out, but I kind of, you know, kept myself down, because it was like this inner voice telling me, let go, just relax, you're fine, you know, no harm will come to you. And it started to get really deeper. They got to a point where it wasn't just visuals anymore. It was this point of like this huge transcendental light, if that's what I could describe it as, and it's like gleaming down on me. And out comes these hands, and they're just like reaching out to me, and I'm just like, at that point, it's like, it really is like a choice. It's like, do you want to go deeper into this and lose your fucking mind, or do you want to just kind of like, because your ego just tells you like, oh no, I'm not going there, I'm not touching that, I'm not, you know. And at one point I opened my eyes because it was so strong, and everything was like blinking, like blinkers, and it was just stimulation overload. And I'm like, what is happening to me? What is happening to me? And all of a sudden, you know, I when I rejected the light, it pulled back and everything became dark. And I remember thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I made the wrong choice. Because literally, it's like the energy transformed into something else. It was like, okay, you're not coming, you know, we're gonna go ahead and move on. But it was these encouraging voices, just like getting louder and louder, and then it was this frequency getting louder. It's like everything was like buzzing, it was like, and at one point it was like within, like hitting that peak within an hour, about 12 o'clock. I wasn't even cognizant of time, but I knew it had to be an hour. Like my last look at the clock, and it was too much. It was just like this high-pitched noise of like, it was like a hum, but it was more like a, I don't know, it's like a zinging sound. And it's like if I gave into that, it made my brain feel weird. It made me feel so weird, and I don't know, it was like I was malfunctioning like a human being. It's like I guess people call them brain zaps, but it eventually got to that point, and within it, it was starting to get so intense, and that's when I was greeted. It's like there was always a moment where I felt like I'm greeted by this other presence or this other worldly energy, and there were like so many of them, and they were coming down, and everything was black, and then it turned to blue, and it was like I was swimming in this like galaxy, and then it turned to water. It was like this galaxy of stars just like popping and exploding in my vision, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm floating in water, and I'm like, holy shit, and it's like I'm swimming, and then it's like I'm swimming in this nothingness. It's like, it's not even that I had a body. I remember at one point just being like, am I dying? Am I dying right now? Am I dead? Like everything felt like I was up in the air. It felt like it was love. It was so many things. It was like I was in the collective conscious, if that's what you could describe it. Thinking about it now, looking back at it, it kind of made me kind of really fearful. It made me very, because I mean, if you're not used to being in that kind of like what I call the ether, that, you know, it kind of messes with you. It makes you feel things that you've never felt before. And it's like at that point I was like, oh my God, I couldn't even feel my body. I remember opening my eyes, trying one last time to like open my eyes. It was just blasting of light, everything shifting and colors melting, and then it was like I was exploding from the inside, this buzzing noise, my emotions, everything it was good, but it felt so intense, if that's what you just say, just so intense, like there's no relief from this, that nothing is ever gonna change. But you know, obviously I knew to keep a clear head, and I knew that if I kept going and breathing, that's all you can do. And just, you know, it's like my higher self telling me, just breathe and you'll be okay. Like you have this other voice in your head, which is, I believe it's your soul. I believe it's the deepest part of you that never goes away. But at that point, it's like I burst. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Annihilation, but at that last scene of that movie, when Ventress actually morphs into, because the alien being or whatever it is it's reflective. So everything you're giving it's just multiplying it and transforming it and everything. At that point, I literally became everything and dissolved into nothing. And it was weird because I was swimming. It's like swimming in this water, and then the beautiful goddess. I was gonna say it was the goddess Krishna. It was a blue deity with glowy blue eyes, blue, and like, I don't want to say like snake hair, but it was like these floating ethereal light hair things. And she was just telling me, I don't know if anyone's ever had this kind of experience, but do let me know. And she was just telling me like all these things about me, like you are kind, you are wise, like about my life. And then it was basically this like description of my humanness in this nothingness. And she was just like, you are kind, you are wise, you are the blend, you are unique, you are magic, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is this real? Is like, this thing is like talking to me, and I'm like, I'm actually comprehending it. And I don't even think it was actual English. I don't really think it was English, but it was like this energetic surge of her. She put her head down in the water, and these glowy blue eyes were looking at me, just beautiful like markings and beautiful hair. And it's like the body, it's like the front part of a body, but I couldn't even see, like she didn't have the rest of the body, but it's like she was dunking her head in the water and just looking down at me, and was just rolling in the water like that. And she was like, you are wise, you are kind, you are the mix, you want more. And then after I heard more, I heard other voices. They were like, more, 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 you are more, you want more, and you are successful, you are kind, you are the mix, you are the blend. And they kept telling me this over and over again. You are the blend, you are mix, the mix. And I like in my mind, I'm like, I knew why she were telling me these things, because at that point, as soon as I peaked, I remember asking, because when you do shrooms, you always have to go in with an intention. Obviously, everything's just going to be happening to you, and you're just going to be like, what's going on? You know, you got to have something grounding you, you know, something that, you know, you ask to the shroom. And so I asked to be healed. I asked, you know, for my purpose. I want to be guided through that. I was like, heal me. I remember just being like, heal me, heal me. Like the Lady Gaga song in Star Is Born, just heal me, heal me. And all of a sudden she just like came down like this light. It's so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I've never experienced something so unique, and it was so visual and vivid. It's like I still remember. It's like in my body, in my mind, that I still remember these feelings and these visuals. But it's like when I try to put them into words, it's like a forgotten dream. It's like when you try to remember a dream, it's like this fadey thing. But it's like your memory and the energy, you remember everything about it. But after that point, it kind of transitioned out of me being so introspective and them telling me about my life, because they went into like how successful I will be and how I'm the blend of, I guess, them, because I do kind of feel that I'm psychic and sensitive to my intuition and other people's energies, and I've always felt like I've been a healer. If people believe in star seeds and indigo children, I believe in that kind of sort of thing. I believe that everybody has a purpose on earth, and not everyone's energy is the same. Not everyone's purpose obviously is the same. Not everyone has the same abilities as anyone else, you know. I think that was unique. And so in that experience, transitioning, she showed me my conception into birth. It was like into this water and into this like gleaming rainbow of colors, and it's like bloop, 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 just like colors exploding. And I realized I was in my mother's stomach. I was inside my mother's body, and I seen like the nuclei just replicate, and then it turned into this eye, which formed a body, which, you know, in my mind, energy, whatever, I was like, is this me? I was like, is this me? I'm experiencing my conception, I'm experiencing my growth, I'm experiencing my life, you know, before it even happened. For me, it was just like a scary, it was like, I've never in my life that I experienced something like that. And when I think about it to this day, like, it's like the forgotten dream, and it's like, to remember. And it's like, I don't think we're supposed to remember these things, but to know that I still remember, and it's that deep to me. It just made me so appreciative of these things, because I'm like, what else can show you that's so natural and that's from the environment can show you your life and your growth? And I meant like not even what's inside of you like that, but I meant like your body and your energy coming into your body when you're born, and like this whole thing. But after that, because that was a whole mind trip in and of itself, I kind of came to, and I realized that I was starting to come down. And I was like, okay, you know, I have to go to the bathroom. It was scary to go to the bathroom. I ended up pissing on the floor in the kitchen because it was that sensitive. When I could get up, it was like I couldn't even walk. I didn't know how to walk. My body was so lethargic. So it's like every time, it was like walking like a baby, just stumbling everywhere. I'm like, I have no sense of nothing. And I ended up pissing on the floor actually twice. So that's not my proudest moment, and pissing in a trash can, because the bathroom just became this dark void. And I'm like, if I actually go into the bathroom, which is right here, and it's so dark, I feel like I'm just gonna be swallowed by the darkness, and it's like gonna follow me or whatever. Totally irrational. Fear is irrational. Never let fear conquer you. So anyone remembering, you know, to trip, or anyone remembering that, you know, oh my God, I'm scared. You know, just remember that fear is irrational, and, you know, don't be a crybaby. Just, you know, I really realized that everything that I was putting out, I was getting back times 10. So when I went to the bathroom, I actually walked into the bathroom like, oh, this isn't so scary. I actually got frightened, and everything, I can see how everything darkened. So it was like I had this consciousness and awareness that, you know, my body and my power that we are so endowed with changes the environment. It changes. It's like your brain and your eyes are this filter to everything that you create, and by energy, by everything. So even when I opened my eyes, she was like telling me how powerful I am. I'm not going to go into detail because it was like so many more heartfelt things that she told me about how I will succeed and how successful I will be in the future. So it kind of left me, it was a beautiful transforming trip, and I felt like I needed that for someone that's 23 years old at this time in his life. I'm like, you know, that's when you kind of need to understand and wake up to your purpose. So this was basically a huge awakening for me. When I opened my eyes coming down, I felt like the better part of the trip was always when I was closed my eyes, because I felt like I would just disintegrate and become a part of this beautiful ether. I would be a part of everything. And I was like, oh my God. And it felt like this is like when people die. It felt like I died. I remember my energy exploding with this high frequency sound, and I'm like, there's no coming back from this. Like, I don't even know. I felt like if I left my body and went to another dimension, I wouldn't even feel safe like that, because I felt like something else would come back and take the place of my body, and I'll be trapped in this other dimension. But I'm like, maybe I'm just being too in my head. I'm just being too anxious. You know, I don't have to be that anxious. It's not that. You know, that, you know, we're not flying to different dimensions like that, but it just made me weary about like things like that. But I think it was just fear. I think it was just fear telling me, you know, don't go any further. But I think that it was helpful because, you know, it would have definitely turned something that was so beautiful in the beginning into the middle into hell. It would have just, you know, it really would have fucked me up. Because coming down, it was just like, I couldn't remember my name. I couldn't remember where I was. There was a dog here. And I was like, whose dog is this? And I was like, he looks like a wolf. I couldn't even look at him because it was so scary to look at him. He's so cute. And my whole world kind of changed. But long story short, coming down, it was just me playing music. Is basically a game of catch up. You come back and everything's still moving, and you have to calm yourself down, and you know you're going through a whole fucking mind trip because you can't remember anything. Or you try to go to the fridge and you're like, what am I? You know, you go into the kitchen, you're like, what did I come in here for? It's like I have these spells of like. It really felt like I was under a spell and I couldn't remember anything. And I guess that's how fast my brain was going, or my brain was rewiring or reconnecting or configuring. I don't know. But the come down was not the better part of it. It definitely was like coming back to reality. And I was like, I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to die. I don't know if anyone else had felt the kind of harsh pain and harsh lesson of being so immersed in this knowledge and then coming back to something so mundane, to something so disgusting. It's like, oh, reality is disgusting. I didn't want to come back to my body. Coming back to my body was uncomfortable. Coming back to my body was terrible. Coming back to my body it wasn't a good experience. You know, it's like I was dead and I came back and it was like literally like a suit. I'm like, oh my God, we literally are like in this meat suit and we're stuck. And there's nothing you can do to get out of it except for taking one of these, you know. I'm saying these things are the keys. You know, these things hold the key to a lot of healing. And I've never been in my body that deep. I've never went into my psyche that deep. I never thought I was traumatized. Even coming out of this experience, I look at it from a totally huge spiritual experience. But coming down and feeling everybody and remembering my life, it was not a good thing. It kind of made me want to go into nothingness again. I was like, this is not the better part of what I want to experience. But they told me that I'm meant to, I have a purpose here. So it's like, it wasn't all depressing because it was just like, at that point, it's like you have a mission to do. Like there is no time to waste. You've gone, you've seen it, you've gotten the message. Now is the time you come back, you tell people, you do what you need to do. You know, you live your life, you live your purpose. You are the meaning. You know, you're your own meaning. You're all that you're going to need to be. And so it left me without a doubt feeling so enlightened, so refreshed, and you know, it's just the better part of all of this is just like just figuring out what's really inside and figuring out, you know. And it's crazy that people don't feel like they don't have a purpose, and people that don't believe in anything. I was like, I don't know how I would be alive if I don't believe in anything, because to be alive is to be meaningful, to do things, to help people, to, you know, make your touch, you know, on this world, which is so connected in so many different ways. But the weed was the better part. I kept being terrified to smoke. I was like, oh my God, if I smoke this blunt, I'm gonna fucking go into rage hell. But actually, it got really better. I've never been so high out of my mind. It was like being high for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. But, you know, with a grain of salt, it kind of gave me a little paranoia. But it was all about music. It was still all about sound, because I was like, holy shit, I'm still tripping. I remember doing the trip starting at 11, but it ended up not finishing until it was about 5, 6 o'clock. So it was about pretty long, like, I guess feeling it, because even when I would get high, it's like I got these residual effects and geometric shapes would come back, and I'm like, oh crap, yeah. And I'm like, this is some strong shit. But it's nothing to play with. I really, even when I look back at it now, and that's why it's so hard for me to focus, because it's like there's so much within me. It's kind of like trauma, but it's not trauma. It's like healing, because that's what I asked for. And so it's like this being cut open my body, ripped out my heart, opened all my chakras, and said, here you go. This is what you have to deal with. And I'm like, this is not good. But it's fun. I definitely, you know, take it serious, and I take it very personal, and I try to be objective about it as well, so that way I don't lose my senses and go, oh my God, you know, because this is only one part of the secret to life, and we don't even really know what that is. We don't know what the human mind is supposed to evolutionize into, you know, or the collective conscious is supposed to evolutionize into, you know, until we kill ourselves, or we kill ourselves, you know, by our own destruction and craziness. And I was like, you're all fooled, you're all doomed. I was like, we're all living a fucking matrix, we're all living a lie. There's nothing true about the way we do things, like nothing. I said, this is all nothing but a factory. We're living on this big rock as a factory. And I said, if people could wake up and realize there's so much potential and not even following the mold, it's powerful. I would say it's powerful. Thinking, like, coming back into my body, feeling all of these things, it's not comfortable to feel, to be honest. It's comfortable to feel, but it's something that it's like, because I take it so serious, it's like, oh, like I can't believe, like it's literally like I can't believe that, you know, this exists. And I've been through that experience, and I guess that's what comes out of the heroic dose, the ego death, the purging of emotions, the feeling the body and feeling yourself and feeling your alignment and being one. It's just a lot. And I remember crying so much, crying for hours. I couldn't move. It was like every hour passed by, I was laying in bed playing music. Otherwise, if I had to go to the bathroom, and I'm like eating apples, you know, just to slowly get my strength out, because I'm like, holy shit, sliced apples. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, what am I felt like I was bedridden. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm saying I'm supposed to be, you know, I'm supposed to be this warrior, and I feel like shit. This spiritual warrior, and I feel like shit. I feel like that's the better part of it. I'm like, anybody, you know, every experience is different for everybody, but I feel like a true spiritual awakening is something that it's gonna have to be ugly. There's gonna have to be something where you see different things, and there's better parts of the trip, like the onset and the peak, but the come down is, oh, if you're ready. I think not everybody mentally is capable of that, but I'm like, only if you're like really ready. But yeah, I plan on to do more. I felt like I want to take a step back, because I've been actually doing several trips every other Sunday, and it made me realize that I maybe need to take a step back, because you don't want to ruin yourself. Because sometimes these things, like, some people say it sometimes, and it's true sometimes, that, you know, the knowledge that you seek sometimes is forbidden, and maybe you shouldn't, you know, see certain things. But that's only if you know, it's up to you. That's up to your destiny. That's up to your, you know, free will. We all have free will. So I'm just saying, when this knowledge comes to the light, you just have to be willing to understand it. Because sometimes I was like, at certain points, being told things, and I'm just like, how am I supposed to do this? Where is this inside of me? You know, and it's crazy. But I guess it's something that you can only have to experience. But the weed was the better part. The weed was the better part. The weed was the better part. That 420, you know. But that was